Hi everyone and welcome to Rabbi Cooks. This is our first episode on this beautiful sunny Monday in Finchley. Lovely to welcome everybody here. Hoping to have at least a couple of these every week, and the plan is that you send in your ingredient that you have in your cupboard or in your larder at home, and I'm going to do my best to make a recipe or sometimes even a couple of recipes out of that ingredient. Give me ingredients, give me things that you're struggling with at home. You can post it on the Instagram or on the Facebook or even on Twitter using all of those different things from today. And here goes. We have been tasked today by Zivar, who's in New York, and also a friend, Danny Beach, who's in Sussex, to do something with chickpeas. Now, chickpeas come in different forms. Many of you will have tinned chickpeas in your larder. Tinned chickpeas are great. One of the ways of dealing with tinned chickpeas is just to refresh them a little bit by putting them in a pan of water. Could be with boiling water or even in a pan of boiling water, and just to bring them back to the boil. You can put a little bit of spices in there or a little bit of stock just to refresh them, and in that way they lose their tin flavour. So have a go with that. These ones are dried chickpeas, so super cheap, super healthy, filling for big tummies and big families. These ones can be put into the pressure, soaked overnight. Always soak dried chickpeas overnight. Ideally 8 to 12 hours minimum, and then pop them into your pressure cooker for about an hour. These ones I just did on the hob, and that probably takes about an hour to an hour and a half. Ideally a fast boil for about 10 minutes and then a slower boil after that. These ones I've left in the liquid, the cooking liquid that they've cooked in, and I'm using some of the cooking liquid. So let's start off with the most simple recipe today, is hummus. Delicious Middle Eastern dish, famous around the world. Hummus in this context is just chickpeas, and up until this point I have put just some of the cooking liquid of the chickpeas into this blender. Now this blender in particular is, I'm going to try not to name drop too many labels in these videos, but this is a NutriBullet, and it's good because it's very high powered. So it really blends the chickpeas very smoothly. The other way you can make sure the chickpeas are blended very well is to make sure they're immersed in the liquid that you're preparing the hummus in. We'll come to how to thicken it a bit later on. For this recipe, I think I've done about 12 tablespoons of chickpea. Just put some of the cooking water in there. I'm now adding half a lemon into that, just like that. Half of the lemon juice, and immersing a little bit more, and then some olive oil. You can see just there, a couple of glugs of olive oil, half a lemon. The chickpeas are totally immersed in that liquid. I'll just say a word about citrus, just while we're at it. We're in times of difficulty in terms of lots of people self-isolating and lots of people finding it difficult to get by shops. I'm aware that many people won't have all of these different things in their cupboards and their larders at home, but the idea of these recipes is to be able to mix and match. You can really make hummus with any grain. So perhaps not any grain, but all lentils, all split peas. Try it out. One of the recipes, things that I think Danny Beach wanted me to cook with was the humble red lentil. You can definitely make a hummus exactly like this with a red lentil. You can also throw in different citruses, okay? And citruses at this time of year and at all times of year are your friends because they last in the fridge for ages. Let them ripen out of the fridge when you buy them. When they're ripe, pop them in the fridge and they will last for weeks, even up to kind of a month, 6 weeks. many of these citruses will last. And even when the skins go quite hard, if you slice them open, this is an example of a shrinked up tangerine from my fridge. Even when you open them up, the juice is still good, and they'll still give you juice for your dishes. So throw in, if you don't have lemons, use limes. If you don't have limes or lemons, try a sweetened version of hummus. Definitely not a traditional hummus, but try it out and use different things. Today we're going for the traditional lemon, okay? So the 3 different liquids submerging your chickpeas. We've got olive oil, the cooking liquid, and some juice. Okay, this is a new experience for me. Trying to have everything ready to go, and it was ready to go there, but I couldn't see it. Okay, blending, so excuse the noise for a second. Okay, so high ploughed mixer there. Actually a smoothie mixer traditionally. And you can see now that this is a very, 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 very fine blend. Totally smooth, delicious. I'm going to pop this into my glass bowl. This very fine liquid, and it's not now, at this point, a good consistency for hummus because it's too sloppy. So, simply what I will do is now add my tahini. Now, a word on tahini, and again, we're not going to be too fussy in relation to how we use tahini. I've put in there 3 generous spoonfuls of tahini. The fresher the better. If you get to the store and you see tahini and it's separated into 3 different parts, the solid in the middle and the oil on the top and then the liquid in the middle, you've got quite an old tahini that's been sitting there for a while. Tahini separates out the longer it sits still. So the fresher the better, and asking somebody in the store which is the best, ask whoever is in the store that you go to, ideally a Middle Eastern store of some description, and they will give you something which is fresher and has a faster turnover in that shop and therefore doesn't sit for a long time. You can taste the freshness of the tahini when you blend it and mix it in. Another ingredient that lasts for a long time and can be used for sauces and all sorts of different dishes. So I put in 3 tablespoons of tahini, and then I'm just mixing that in, and you will see that then thickens to a beautiful hummus consistency. I've said on the recipe that I'm going to send out to add literally a touch of turmeric, and whilst it's not here, I would normally add then also a touch of cumin. Delicious, delicious, delicious. And then salt to taste. So the important thing is here, taste, salt to taste. Different ingredients have different consistencies, and so I'll put a guide when I put the recipe up next to the YouTube video. But important to always taste to see that it's salted to the flavour that you like. Okay, a little bit more, and that will also take a little bit of lemon. I'm actually using baby limes here instead because that's what I have in the fridge. That will go well. Here we go. Lovely. And then if I plate it up and take a lovely clean plate, the trick is, might like to add a bit more tahini. The trick is then when you dish it out, it keeps a little bit of consistency. This would have taken a tiny bit more tahini, so we'll try and go again next time to make it a little bit thicker, but that's not a bad start for our first dish for our video. a beautiful plate of hummus for ready to eat. And that can be served with really anything. I've got some colourful tortilla chips here and some crackers. And I'll have a little taste of that. Totally delicious. Actually totally delicious, I'm not just saying that. Okay, the next part of the recipe series that I'm doing now is something to have with your dips. Another trick of the day is the old and slightly, some people would say gnarly baked potato. This is a baked potato left over from Friday. I normally cook one extra, depending on how many you put in your family, 1 or 2 extra, and my favourite thing to do with baked potatoes is just simply to cut them up into slices. I've said on the recipe you can do very, very thin slices to make more like a chip, or quite thick slices to make more like a wedge. And that's really up to you, depending on what kind of meal you're preparing, whether it's for a snack or whether it's for a main meal. You've got here a couple of pieces of potato, and I'm going to put those into a frying pan here. As you can see in that frying pan, there's just a little piece of garlic in there, which just flavours the oil slightly and just gives it a slight edge to the chip. You could do the same thing with a piece of chilli, just put a whole piece of chilli in there, and it will just give the potato a tiny bit of an edge when you're frying it. Okay. Those potato chips will go on for about 3 or 4 minutes each side. And if you're doing thicker ones, you want to do a slightly lower light and probably 7 or 8 minutes on each side, but on a lower light so it cooks all the way through. What you have then at the end of this is beautifully golden potato chips. Super simple, from a very humble, basic roast potato. And those will go very nicely with my hummus. And the second dip that I'm going to make for the day. It really is that good, I'm not just saying it. Okay. The next thing I wanted to do, so the recipe that I'm presenting today is for lentils and for chickpeas. So I've said already that you can make with your red lentils, Danny Beach, whoever else is watching, you can make with your red lentils a hummus, just like we've done. Very similar structure. Keep back some of the cooking water, blend those lentils, and then mix in the tahini to make it thicker. You need that tahina paste to thicken up the hummus after you've blended it. And the principle is the same for all blenders. This is the second dish that I've done many, many years back. Similar to some of you who are sharing today. I had in my cupboard some lentils, wanted to make something a bit different, and I came up with this pate. So this pate is a lovely little dish, super, super, super simple. And what I'm starting with today, here's one I made earlier. What I'm starting with today is a simple anchovy and caper base. So the anchovies I have here are anchovies in brine, I think, a very basic product from any supermarket in salt water. And I have just this packet of anchovies that's been sitting in the cupboard for a really long time, salted anchovies, I think, in olive oil. And to begin with, I've just crushed down those anchovies and crushed down those capers. Now, the one I made earlier is without anchovy, exactly the same, but you can do this recipe without anchovy. Natalie doesn't like anchovy, so I've made one earlier which doesn't have that inside. So I've crushed those down almost to a paste, but still leaving them a little bit chunky. And what I'm then going to add in is some chopped dates. That's about 2 chopped dates that I've pared down, that I've chopped into to begin with. And I'm just going to get 1 lime out the fridge. I think these are called baby limes or Persian limes. They're beautiful little sweet-ish limes. I'm going to add a tiny bit of that juice from half of one of those. Again, interchangeable with lemon juice or lime juice or whatever it is that you have in the cupboard. These dishes aren't fussy, but they are delicious. If you didn't have dates, you could use a little bit of chopped apple instead, just something to sweeten the mix, to sweeten the dish. I've got those dates in there, I've got a little bit of juice in there, I'll do a little splash of olive oil, and then again I'm coming with the chickpeas, which could be your red lentils, could be your green split peas, could be your yellow split peas. Happy on the chat to offer you suggestions as to how to cook them if you're not sure. Just tell me what you've got and ask me. And then I'm also adding into there just a little taste. That's like a quarter of a teaspoon of smoked paprika, which can be overpowering if you use too much. Probably like a half teaspoon of black pepper, generous black pepper. And then I said on the recipe to be careful about salting it, because if you're using salted anchovies and capers which have salt in them, you don't want to add too much salt. So I'm adding less than a pinch of salt there, just to begin with, to make sure I'm not over salting. Then I'm going to come with my pestle. No, this is the... I'm going to come with this, whatever you call this. Put it in my pestle and mortar, and I'm just partly crushing the chickpeas. I'm definitely not going for the smooth consistency of my hummus. That would be bad. I'm going to half crush the chickpeas so that I'm really still keeping some of the consistency of those beautifully soft chickpeas. I don't want to lose that. If there are some whole and some half, I'll be happy. I don't want to lose the consistency of those chickpeas, but I do want to lightly crush them. I'm going to then come with a tiny bit of the sweeter juice, which is my shrivelly tangerine, which has beautiful juice inside still. Adding just a little bit more liquid there. You could do that in a hand-held little citrus juicer, if that helps you, so you don't get the seeds in there. And I think that's it. I'm just going to have a little taste to see. That really is very good. I'm changing spoons over, being very careful about germs and hand washing at the moment. That's a clean spoon now. That anchovy is actually quite powerful in there, but I think it's quite a good mix. I'm just going to add a couple more chickpeas in there just to soften the strength of that anchovy, and then I'm just going to add actually here a little bit more citrus juice, which will also just soften that flavour. Be very conscious of the power of the chickpeas, because whilst it's a great flavour, you don't want it to entirely overpower the rest of the mixture. So one more stir. I'm going to plate this up. And there you have it. A little wipe down here. We've got a beautiful hummus, some lovely potato chips just there. Lovely hummus. We've got two different types of dips. One, the slightly plainer one, just with capers inside. One, exactly the same, just with anchovies and capers. And then, for fun, I brought in some tortilla chips and just some very basic crackers. So, it's time to taste it. Really hard part of the job. Really, really good. Simple store cupboard ingredients. I know that not all of them are available. If there are things that you do or don't have, be in contact with me and I'll try and tell you what you can switch in with or what other ingredients might work. Enjoy. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Comment in the bottom of the YouTube video. Tell me how you find the different recipes, and more importantly, tell me what else you've got in your cupboard so we can make up some new recipes together. Thank you for watching Rabbi Cooks. I'm Rabbi Oliver. You can email me, rabbioliver@newyorklondon-mazorti.org.uk, or be in contact by way of Facebook and any of the other social media trips. This is supposed to be a slightly lighter and more fun video series for these tough times, and I've enjoyed myself just making a couple of dips and dishes with you together. Love and blessings to you all. Thank you so much. Bye.